Hi, I'm Donna Griggs, CEO of Propel Change, and today we're going to talk to Fahad Tahir, who's CEO of St. Thomas Midtown and St. Thomas West. So Fahad, when you were the ripe age of, 33, you became the CEO of 2 hospitals. That's probably a little bit unusual. In fact, aren't you the youngest CEO in the entire Ascension network?
It just might be.
That's pretty cool. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey?
Sure. I grew up in Milwaukee. I grew up in India till I was 9, and then in Milwaukee, where I have just an incredible amount of relatives. And you know, somewhere around the age of 19, I came across this practice in the east side of Milwaukee and just joined for the summer, thinking nothing of it. And one thing led to another, met some incredible physicians and incredible mentors. And you know, 15 years later, here I am. And I feel just incredibly fortunate.
Just that simple. Just here I am, 15 years later.
There's a couple more steps probably in between. You know, I started off just with a variety of roles in the practice, answering the phones, covering the front desk, and just really enjoyed that summer. And I just didn't want to go back to school, and so they were kind enough to keep me around. And I continued to have experiences with the practice and really started to see that serving people in healthcare can become a purpose and a passion that I just didn't know I had. Mm-hmm. And didn't have a lot of family history in healthcare. Just really came to me through that experience and just reoriented my life. And so with great mentors, got a chance to take on different roles and opportunities over the years, and eventually ran the practice. That practice that I had originally joined, that practice grew over the years and became part of Ascension. And really then it was incredible being introduced to this powerful social cause, right. This powerful culture that is 400 years of history, that powers Ascension. And so got a chance to tap into that, see the incredible network of Ascension physician practices at hospitals, and go through a leadership development program, which allowed me to become part of the Ascension ministry in Washington, D.C., and then ultimately in Nashville. So
it's interesting that the word saint and St. Thomas is spelled out. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, that's something I'm really proud of. So we had a Sister Irene, about 40 years ago, and she introduced this idea that we're going to spell out the word saint, S-A-I-N-T, rather than just, S-T period. And the idea behind it is we are thoughtful and disciplined and intentional, and we go through that extra effort to spell out the word saint because we hold ourselves to a higher standard. And that's the culture, that's a culture she wanted to build that became part of the legacy I get to be part of today. And as I take on this role and I reflect on that incredible history and the incredible high standard that St. Thomas delivers in terms of patient care, but also the culture of seeing the patient as a whole, body, mind, and spirit, I look for ways and I seek out ways through our physicians and our staff to contribute to that culture, to continue to feed that energy of we're going to keep raising the bar, keep being innovative, and setting the highest possible standard for medicine that science knows today.
Wow. So, one of the things that I know you really, really believe in from our conversations before is the whole collaboration effort and how you guide that effort everywhere in this entire organization. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's hard for people to do.
Sure. Well, growing up with physicians and in physician practices, there's a certain culture in our physician practices that I've gotten exposed to, and with great teachers, really gotten to see the potential and the benefits of collaboration that many pockets of healthcare don't enjoy today. And so what's happened over decades is healthcare has become a bunch of isolated, entrenched interests.
Right.
And folks don't collaborate, and there's a lot of potential that's mutually beneficial that doesn't get realized. Ultimately, this is about addition, not subtraction. I don't think you grow with subtraction, you grow with addition, with collaborating and coming together. And so growing up and working with physicians, that was the culture of our physician practice that I was raised in. And so as I've transitioned into this role leading our St. Thomas Midtown and St. Thomas West hospitals, I specifically look for ways to partner with health plans and independent physicians to be the partner of choice that brings those partners together. And we believe that when we align our goals, we can do a lot more for the patient when we see that whole picture versus when we work in isolated, self-interested ways.
Right.
And so we're really proud of the culture that we're setting, and we're proud of some of the early accomplishments we've seen in taking that approach. And we really believe that will be our single differential factor that not just works in how we are to work with our physicians and health plans, but also it allows us, because we can see this whole picture for the patient, we believe we can take care of the patient better by quarterbacking that entire experience for the patient.
So what kind of results have you seen because of those efforts?
Sure. Well, we're really, there's a variety of things that we do to be the partner of choice from a collaboration standpoint. So in addition to our 2 hospitals, we have 17 ambulatory surgery centers and specialty hospital that we co-own with surgeons that are joint ventured surgery centers. That allows us to expand beyond the hospital, to have these surgery centers that allow surgery to be accessible, and for our surgeons and St. Thomas to together bring surgical care closer to home for patients. And so we're really proud of that. It's a high quality, cost-effective option for our patients and for health plans, right? So it's mutually beneficial for the health plan. Likewise, we take that same approach with imaging. So we have imaging centers throughout the region. We did those as joint venture partnerships to enhance high quality, cost-effective, freestanding imaging centers throughout the region. They're all over town, so they becomes a place where patients can have accessible and affordable care with the St. Thomas brand of quality they can trust, and it's co-owned with our radiology partners. That's the spirit of 1 + 1 = 3, that additive approach to collaboration we're really proud of. Recently, just to continue to be on the innovative front, we looked at opportunities to partner with our primary care physicians to help navigate through the set of Medicare legislative changes that are happening throughout the country. And we've formed over the last several years an accountable care organization called Ascension Care Management, and it's part of a national network of population health efforts that Ascension has in place here in Tennessee. I co-lead that group with Ascension Care Management and physician partners. And so a lot of large multi-specialty groups in St. Thomas come together in this accountable care organization. We manage the total health and cost of 34,000 Medicare beneficiaries.
Wow.
That allows us to manage the total health of those individuals and families and really make a positive difference. And our physicians are right there with us looking at everything about these beneficiaries, and Medicare is entrusting us to manage the total quality and cost as an accountable care organization. That's just one more example of partnership. What I'm really excited about introducing next year, which we've never done before, but we are going to be introducing in a more significant way in this community, is outpatient total joint surgery. So we have been working with our orthopedic surgeons and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee to introduce outpatient total joint surgery at scale throughout Middle Tennessee. We really believe the incredible progress that's been made by great clinical thinkers in the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgery and our own orthopedic surgery partners here will allow us to create a safe and thoughtful approach to outpatient total joint surgery. So within a few hours, the patient has their surgery and can potentially go home same day.
Instead of how many days?
3 days.
3 to 5?
Yeah, and even more than that 10 years ago. I mean, there were days, 10 years ago, we had patients in the hospital for a week, and then they might have gone to rehab and been there for a couple of weeks to recover. I mean, the incredible clinicians that have innovatively continued to improve that clinical and patient experience to reduce that burden of surgery for patients to the point where we can do it outpatient now.
That's fabulous. Well, thank you so much. If you have one tip that you were going to give new leaders, what one tip would you give them? Because you've been at this now for quite a while.
I have. And you know, I try to be really intentional about the approach that I take, and I think you can hear that. The thing I remind myself to be most intentional about is to listen first and to be self-aware. And I say them together because you have to be self-aware enough to know that you may not always know the answer if you don't listen. And you have to listen with seeking to understand. And if you can do that in combination in each interaction, then I think you can truly learn everything that you need to know. And our physicians and our staff know the answer to all the questions that plague us. We just have to listen and find them.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being part of our video today. It was great seeing you again, and I look forward to more conversation. For more topics like this and to learn more about how we help our clients, please visit our website. We love your feedback. We've been getting great feedback on LinkedIn and in emails. So if you have a topic that you'd like us to discuss, or if you have questions, please send us an email. We would love to hear from you.